The room smelled like cigar smoke and old money. Ada pressed her back against the cold wall of the private suite, her arms wrapped tight around both her sisters. Destiny stood to her left, all curves and fury, her chest heaving with barely contained rage. Zoe trembled on her right, tears streaming silently down her round cheeks. 3 black women, 3 sisters, about to become property. "Stop crying," Ada whispered to Zoe, though her own voice cracked. "We're going to figure this out."
"How?"
Destiny hissed. "That man said Daddy owed $3 million. Ada. 3 million. We don't even have 3 million cents. Ada didn't answer, because she didn't have one. Their father had been a gambling addict, a liar, a man who smiled in their faces while signing their futures away to monsters. And now he was dead, heart attack at the blackjack table, and they were left holding a debt written in blood. The door opened. Mr. Kwan, the debt collector, waddled in with a clipboard and a smile that made Ada's skin crawl. He was short, greasy, and looked at them the way a butcher looks at meat. "Ladies, ladies," he crooned, adjusting his glasses. "I have good news. I've found buyers." "Buyers?" Destiny stepped forward, fists clenched. "We're not things, you disgusting. You are whatever I say you are." Mr. Kwan's smile vanished. "Your father made that decision for you. Now sit down before I let my men teach you manners." Ada grabbed Destiny's arm and pulled her back. "Not yet," her eyes said.
"Wait."
Mr. Kwan's smile returned. "Smart girl. Now, here's the situation. I have 3 gentlemen interested. One wants the loud one," he nodded at Destiny, "for obvious reasons. Another prefers the soft one. Criers are popular with certain tastes." Zoe whimpered, and Ada's blood turned to ice. "And you," Mr. Kwan pointed at Ada, "will go to a businessman in Busan who needs a translator. Your Korean is excellent, I hear."
"No."
Ada's voice cut through the room like a blade. "We stay together." Mr. Kwan laughed. "That's not how this works, sweetheart." "Then make it work. We're a package deal. Sell us together, or don't sell us at all." The debt collector's eyes narrowed. He opened his mouth, and then the temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Besties. Besties. Let me describe what walked through that door. 6'5", shoulders broad enough to block out the light. A black suit that cost more than your car, tailored so sharp it could cut glass. Silver rings on fingers that looked like they'd broken bones. A jaw carved from granite. Eyes so dark they swallowed the light.
And tattoos.
Oh, the tattoos. They crept up from his collar, scales, flames, claws, disappearing into his hairline. A dragon, wrapped around his throat like it was protecting him, or warning you. This was Jae-sun, the emperor of the Dragon Syndicate, the man who made the Korean underworld kneel. Mr. Kwan nearly tripped over himself bowing. "Mr. Park." "Sir, I wasn't expecting you personally." "Clearly." Jae-sun's voice was deep, quiet, the kind of quiet that made you lean in, even when every instinct screamed to run. "You've been making noise, Kwan, auctioning women on my territory without permission." I was going to inform you, sir. Silence. One word. Mr. Kwan's mouth snapped shut. Jae-sun's gaze swept the room and landed on the 3 women pressed against the wall. Ada forced herself to meet his eyes. She was shaking. She couldn't stop, but she refused to look away. He tilted his head, studied her. Then his gaze moved to Destiny, who glared at him with the heat of 1,000 suns. Something flickered across his face. Interest? Amusement? Finally, he looked at Zoe, the smallest one, the one crying silently into Ada's shoulder. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he walked forward. Each step was deliberate, controlled. He moved like a predator who'd never known fear. The sisters pressed closer together as he approached, but there was nowhere to go. He stopped 3 feet away. Up close, he was even more terrifying. The dragon tattoo seemed to move in the dim light, scales rippling across his throat. His cologne hit Ada's senses, sandalwood, smoke, something dark and expensive. Names, he said. It wasn't a question. Ada swallowed.
Aimada.
This is Destiny. And Zoe. Sisters. Yes. He nodded slowly. His eyes dropped to where Ada's arms wrapped around them both, holding them together like her grip alone could save them. Mr. Kwan. He didn't turn around. You said there are 3 buyers. Why, yes, sir. Each one is prepared to pay. Which one do you want, sir? Mr. Kwan interrupted himself eagerly. The fierce one? The curvy one? The innocent? They're all quality merchandise. Ada felt Destiny vibrate with rage. She tightened her grip. Jason was quiet. For 10 agonizing seconds, he simply looked at them, at the way they clung to each other, at the terror in Zoe's eyes and the fire in Destiny's, and the desperate calculation in Ada's. Then he spoke. I do not break sets. Mr. Kwan blinked. Sir? Jason's lips curved. It wasn't quite a smile. It was something hungrier. I will take them all. Did he just say the set? Besties, imagine being bought like a luxury collector's item. Like a limited edition designer piece that only comes as a trio. Is it terrifying? Absolutely. But is it also kind of a flex? Maybe? Hit that subscribe button if you're staying to see how this man handles 3 women. Because I have questions. Logistical questions. His compound wasn't a house. It was a fortress. 20-foot walls surrounded the estate, topped with security cameras and guards who stood like statues. The main building rose from manicured gardens like a temple. Traditional Korean architecture meets modern glass and steel. Koi ponds, stone pathways, cherry blossom trees that swayed in the evening breeze. It was beautiful. It was also very clearly a cage. The sisters sat on a silk couch in a room bigger than their entire childhood apartment. Ada in the middle, Destiny on her left, Zoe on her right. Same formation, same grip on each other. They hadn't let go since the auction. Jason stood before them, his jacket removed, his sleeves rolled to the elbow. The dragon tattoo continued down his forearms, flames licking across his wrists, claws wrapping around his knuckles. He'd been silent since they arrived. Just watching. Studying. Ada hated it. What do you want from us? She finally demanded. His eyebrow raised a fraction. Direct. Good. Answer the question. Destiny squeezed her hand. Careful, the squeeze said. Jason moved to a chair across from them and sat. Even seated, he dominated the room. His legs spread, his arms resting on the armrests, his posture radiating absolute authority. You are sold to me, he said simply. You are mine now. We're not. You are. His voice didn't rise, but something in it made Ada's protest die in her throat. That is the reality. What I do with that reality is my choice. He paused. And I choose to make you queens. Silence. Destiny snorted. Excuse me? You are not slaves. You are not servants. You are not toys. He leaned forward, and the intensity in his dark eyes made all 3 of them press back into the couch. You are my wives. All 3 of you. The second servant approached Destiny. Her box contained silk. Crimson red, so deep it looked like blood, shot through with gold thread. For the bold one, Jason continued. You walk into a room and demand to be seen. This fabric was woven for empresses. It suits you. Destiny stared at the silk. For once, she had nothing to say. Finally, The third servant knelt before Zoe. Inside her box was a bracelet, delicate pearls interspersed with tiny jade flowers. For the gentle one. Soft, but precious. Easily underestimated. He met Zoe's tearful eyes. Never by me. He knew them. He'd known them for maybe 3 hours, and he already knew who they were. That's either deeply romantic or deeply disturbing. Possibly both. One more thing, Jason said, rising. Follow me. They followed because what choice did they have? He led them through corridors lined with art, past rooms filled with antiques, up a staircase that seemed to go on forever. Finally, he stopped before a massive set of double doors. He pushed them open. The master suite was ridiculous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens. A fireplace big enough to roast a whole pig. A sitting area, a private study, a bathroom visible through frosted glass doors. And the bed.
Oh, the bed.
It wasn't a bed. It was an arena. Custom-built, spanning nearly wall to wall, covered in silk sheets and more pillows than a department store. It could fit 6 people comfortably. Maybe 8. This is where we sleep, Jason said.
We.
Ada's voice cracked.
We.
He turned to face them. All of us. Together. Destiny let out a strangled laugh. You're insane. Perhaps. He stepped closer. Close enough that Ada could feel the heat radiating off him. But you will find that my insanity comes with considerable benefits. His eyes dropped to Ada's lips. Just for a second. Then to Destiny's heaving chest. Then to the curve of Zoe's neck. One look. 3 women. All of them burning. Jason's thinking internally. Asterisk, they're terrified. Good. They should be. Asterisk. Asterisk, but beneath the terror, there's something else. The leader is already calculating. The bold one is already planning her rebellion. The soft one, she'll be the surprise. They always are. Asterisk. Asterisk, my compound has been silent for too long. Empty rooms. Cold beds. An empire without heirs. Asterisk. Asterisk, they will fill it. Their laughter. Their arguments. Their chaos. Asterisk. 3 queens for my throne. I will have it all. Hashtag Chapter 3. The grooming. Don't tell me you haven't subscribed, because what happened next? It was a lot. In the best way. The bathroom was not a bathroom.
It was a spa.
A temple. A cathedral dedicated to the art of bathing. Steam curled through the air, carrying scents of jasmine and sandalwood. The tub, if you could even call it that, was more like a small pool, carved from black marble and filled with water that shimmered with oils. Rose petals floated on the surface. Candles lined every available surface. And standing in the middle of it all, sleeves rolled up, was Jason. You need to be cleaned, he said. Not cruelly. Just matter of fact. The auction house left its stench on you. I won't have it in my bed. We can bathe ourselves, Ada said, her voice sharper than she intended. Jason's gaze met hers. He said nothing, just looked at her with those bottomless dark eyes, and somehow her protest died. The words literally evaporated. She opened her mouth to try again, and nothing. How did he do that? Destiny, because she was Destiny, decided to test him. She stepped forward, reached back, and unzipped her dress. Let it fall to the floor. Stood there in nothing but black lace and defiance, her curves on full display. What? She challenged. You wanted us clean. Here I am. Jason's expression didn't change. Not a flicker. Not a twitch. His eyes traveled over her body, slowly, thoroughly, but his face remained carved from stone. Get in the water, he said. That was it. Destiny had expected something. A reaction. A crack in that perfect composure. Instead, She got absolutely nothing, and it infuriated her. What kind of man doesn't react? She climbed into the tub, her cheeks burning with something between embarrassment and frustration. Zoe was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. Ada helped her undress, blocking her body from Jason's view as much as possible. But when they reached the water's edge, Zoe froze. "I can't," she whispered. "Ada, I can't." "Zoe." Jason's voice was different now.
Softer.
He crossed to where she stood, and for a terrifying moment, Ada thought she would have to throw herself between them. But he didn't touch her. He knelt. This 6'5" mountain of a man, this Mafia emperor, this dragon, knelt before a trembling young woman. "Look at me," he said quietly. Zoe's tear-filled eyes met his. "I am not going to hurt you." Each word was deliberate. Careful. "Not tonight. Not ever. Do you understand?" She swallowed. "Why should I believe you?" "Because I do not make promises I don't keep."
He rose slowly.
"The water is warm. It will calm you. I will be gentle. That is my word." Something in Zoe's shoulders relaxed, just slightly. She got in the water. The washing asterisk. Besties, I need you to understand what I'm about to describe. Picture this. 3 beautiful black women in a pool of warm, jasmine-scented water. Rose petals floating around them. Steam curling through the air. And one massive Korean man, sleeves rolled up. Those hands. They were weapons. You could see it in the scars across his knuckles, the calluses on his palms, the sheer size of them. Hands that had broken bones. Hands that had ended lives. And now those same hands were holding a soft cloth, dipping it into the water, and running it gently across Ada's shoulders.
She shivered.
"Cold?" he asked.
No.
Very much the opposite. He moved behind her, that cloth tracing down her spine, over the curve of her lower back. His touch was firm but careful, thorough, like he was memorizing the geography of her body. "You're tense," he observed. "I wonder why." A ghost of a smile crossed his lips. "You will learn to relax around me. Eventually." He moved to Destiny next. She sat rigid, refusing to acknowledge him even as his hands worked oil into her shoulders. He pressed his thumbs into a knot at the base of her neck, and despite herself, a small moan escaped her lips. She immediately looked furious. Jason said nothing, but Ada could have sworn she saw satisfaction flicker in his eyes. With Zoe, he was different. Slower. He announced every movement before he made it. "I'm going to wash your arm now. I'm going to rinse your hair." His touch was feather-light, barely there, and somehow that tenderness was more unnerving than anything else. Because it was real. This monster was being gentle. By the time they emerged from the bath, wrapped in robes softer than anything they'd ever owned, something had shifted. The terror was still there, but now it was mixed with something else. Confusion, curiosity, and, for at least one of them, the first dangerous flicker of want. "Okay, besties, this is the part where I need to issue a warning. If you have a heart condition, high blood pressure, or a tendency to throw your phone when things get too intense, maybe sit down. Get some water. Do some breathing exercises. Because Jason is about to show us exactly how a dragon handles 3 queens." The bed was even bigger than it had looked. Zoe stood at the edge, clutching her robe like it was a shield. Destiny had already claimed a corner, arms crossed, daring anyone to come near her. Ada stood in the middle, trying to figure out the strategy for a battle she'd never fought. Jason emerged from the bathroom wearing silk pants that hung low on his hips. Nothing else. Let me describe this man's body. He wasn't bulky like a bodybuilder. He was dense. Muscles carved from years of violence, layered over a frame that seemed designed to intimidate. And the tattoos. God, the tattoos. The dragon started at his neck and spiraled down across his chest, its body wrapping around his torso, flames licking down his abs, claws disappearing beneath his waistband. It took up his entire upper body, a masterpiece of ink and skin. 3 women. 3 different reactions. Zoe looked away immediately, her cheeks burning. Destiny's eyes narrowed, trying very hard to seem unimpressed. Failing. Ada just stared.
Couldn't help it.
The man was a work of art. The bed is large for a reason, Jae-sun said, moving toward them. You will not be cramped. You will not fight for space. There is room for everyone. And where do you sleep? Ada asked. Wherever I choose. He climbed onto the bed, and the mattress barely dipped under his weight.
Quality.
Everything here was the highest quality. He settled in the center, not lying down, sitting against the headboard, legs stretched out, arms open, waiting. None of them moved. We can do this one of 2 ways, Jae-sun said calmly. You can come to me, or I can come to you. But we're sharing this bed tonight. That is not negotiable.
Why?
Destiny demanded. You bought us, fine. But why do we have to? Because you are my wives. And my wives sleep beside me. Always. His voice dropped, and something dark flickered in his eyes. I did not spend $3 million for cold sheets. The number hit them like a slap. $3 million. He'd paid their father's entire debt in one transaction, like it was nothing. Ada moved first. She was the leader. She always went first. She climbed onto the bed and settled on Jae-sun's left side, keeping a careful distance between them. He let her. Zoe came next, drawn by Ada, like always. She curled up on Ada's other side, using her sister as a barrier between herself and the dragon. Destiny took the longest. She stood there, glaring, jaw tight. But eventually, she climbed onto the right side of the bed, as far from Jae-sun as possible. There, she snapped. Happy. Not yet. He moved. He didn't lunge.
Didn't grab. He flowed.
One moment he was sitting against the headboard. The next, he was hovering over Ada, one hand planted beside her head, his face inches from hers. You're the leader, he murmured. You think you have to protect them from me. You don't. But I admire the instinct. He lowered his head and pressed his lips to her forehead.
Soft. Chaste.
Almost reverent. Then he moved to Destiny. She tensed, ready to fight, but he didn't give her a chance. His mouth found the curve of her neck, right where it met her shoulder, and he stayed there, not kissing, just breathing, his breath hot against her skin. You think defiance will protect you, he whispered against her throat. It won't, but I like the fire. Keep it burning. Destiny shuddered, hated herself for it. Finally, Zoe. He approached her so slowly, so carefully, that Ada almost cried watching it. He lay beside her, not on top, not caging her in, and simply took her hand. You're safe, he said softly. Close your eyes. I'll watch over you. Zoe's fingers curled around his. And just like that, the trembling stopped. What followed was not what any of them expected. Jae-sun moved between them like a conductor leading an orchestra. A kiss pressed to Ada's wrist. Fingers tracing down Destiny's spine. Soft words murmured in Zoe's ear. No one was forgotten. No one was left cold. He was everywhere, not frantically, but with purpose. Deliberate attention. When Destiny's breathing grew heavy, he was there. When Ada's walls started to crack, he was there. When Zoe finally relaxed into the sheets, he was there. 3 women, 1 man, and somehow, impossibly, enough. You thought this would be too much for me? His voice was a growl against Ada's ear. I am a dragon. I always have enough fire. Okay, I need a fan. Immediately. Ice water. Maybe an ambulance. Besties, tell me in the comments, which wife would you be? The bold one? The shy one? The leader? Because honestly, right now, I'd be whatever this man told me to be. Don't judge me. You're thinking it too. Sunlight streamed through the windows, warm and golden. Ada woke slowly, disoriented. The sheets beneath her were softer than anything she'd ever slept on. The pillow under her head smelled like sandalwood, and there was a weight on her hip. She looked down. A massive tattooed arm was draped across her, holding her in place. Behind her, she could feel heat, a solid wall of muscle pressed against her back. Jason. She turned her head slowly and found Destiny on his other side, still asleep, her curls wild against the pillow. And beyond her, Zoe, curled into a tiny ball, looking more peaceful than she had in years. They were all tangled together. 3 sisters. 1 dragon. What have we become? Breakfast was obscene. A dining table the size of a small country, covered with more food than a family of 10 could finish. Fresh fruit.
Pastries.
Traditional Korean dishes Ada didn't recognize, but smelled incredible. Coffee, tea, fresh juice. And Jae-sun at the head of the table, watching them eat. He wasn't just watching. He was feeding them. It started with Zoe. She'd been picking at a pastry, still nervous about everything, when Jae-sun reached over, selected a perfect strawberry, and lifted it to her lips. Eat, he said simply. Zoe ate. Then he turned to Ada. A piece of honeyed bread. Then Destiny, though she glared at him the entire time she chewed. I can feed myself, she grumbled. I know. He selected another piece. Open your mouth.
She did.
Traitorous body. The moment shattered when the door burst open. A woman strode in like she owned the place. Tall, beautiful, Korean, dripping in designer labels. Her eyes swept the room, landed on the 3 sisters at the table, and her face twisted with disgust. So it's true. Her voice was poison. You married 3 debts? Jae-sun didn't move. Mi-young, he said quietly. You are not invited. I don't need an invitation. I'm your partner. She stalked closer, glaring at the sisters. And these are trash, Jae-sun. Street garbage you picked up from Kwan's bargain bin. What were you thinking? Zoe shrank in her chair. Destiny's fists clenched. Ada started to rise. But Jae-sun moved first. One moment he was seated. The next, he was on his feet, his hand wrapped around Mi-young's throat. Not squeezing, just holding. But the threat was clear. Let me explain something to you. His voice was soft. Terrifyingly soft. You do not speak to my wives. You do not look at my wives. You do not breathe in their direction. Mi-young's eyes bulged. Jae-sun. They are the crown jewels of this empire. He leaned closer, and for the first time, the full weight of who he was became visible. The killer. The emperor. The dragon. And you? You are a business associate who has just made herself disposable. He released her. She stumbled back, gasping, hand flying to her throat. Get out. Your share in the Kim deal is terminated. Your accounts will be frozen by noon. If I see your face again, I will not be this gentle. Mi-young fled. Silence. Jae-sun turned back to the table, straightening his cuffs like nothing had happened. More coffee, he asked calmly. The 3 sisters stared at him. Destiny spoke first. Did you just ruin her life? In 30 seconds. She insulted my wives. He poured himself tea. She's lucky she's still breathing. This man just crashed someone's entire financial existence because she called his women trash. Is this toxic?
Possibly.
Is it also the most romantic thing I've ever witnessed? Absolutely. After breakfast, Ada slipped away. She needed air, needed to think, needed to understand what was happening to her and her sisters. She found herself wandering through Jason's private study. Bookshelves lined the walls. A massive desk dominated the center. And on that desk, papers. Ada hesitated. She shouldn't snoop. This was dangerous. This man had just destroyed someone for looking at them wrong. But she was the leader. She needed information. She crept closer. The document on top was written in Korean, but Ada's Korean was good. Her mother had insisted on lessons. She scanned the text, translating as she went. And then she froze. Surrogacy contract. Purpose. Establishment of legitimate heirs for the Park dynasty. Timeline. Immediate. Candidates. 3. Wives of Park Jae-sun. He didn't just want wives. He wanted children. He wanted a dynasty. Immediately. You found it. Ada spun around. Jae-sun stood in the doorway, arms crossed, face unreadable. You weren't supposed to see that yet, he said. But I suppose it doesn't change anything. Doesn't change. Ada's voice cracked. You want us to have your children? You bought us for breeding. I bought you because I wanted you. All of you.
But yes.
He stepped closer, and Ada backed into the desk. I am the last of my line. I need heirs. And you 3 will give them to me. What if we refuse? He was in front of her now, close enough